Welcome to the Math Review. This lesson here is on multiplying whole numbers. And for this lesson, we're just going to focus on multiplying one two-digit number by another two-digit number. And here are the steps that we're going to have to follow in order to be successful. Step number one, we're going to have to write a line and line up all place values. That sounds really wordy. I'll make sure I come back to this step when we start the first example. Step number two is to make sure we multiply each digit in the bottom number by each digit on the top number. So before we can start the next digit in our multiplication, we need to make sure that we finish multiplying all the numbers on top by that first digit on the bottom. And you'll understand what I mean when we get to the first example. And step number three, add values from all the multiplication in each column starting from the right. So now knowing these steps, let's get started with problem number one. We've got 25 times 38. So the first thing I want to do is make sure I right align everything. So what I like to do is I like to draw a line first. And then on that line, I'm going to put my first number, 25. Note how I left a little bit of space in between because making sure that everything is lined up in the proper column is the most important thing when we're multiplying numbers. Now that we've got 25 here, let's go to 38. I'm going to make sure that I have my 8 on top of the 5 and my 3 on top of the 2. And now I'll put my multiplication symbol right here. And now that we have everything lined up, we can go to step number 2, which is to multiply each digit in the bottom number by each digit on the top starting from the right. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to take this 5 here and we're going to multiply by each digit in the top number. So we're going to focus on this 5 for now. So now I've got 5 times 8, which is 40. So I'll bring down the 0 in 40, and I'll carry the 4. Now I've got 5 times 3. I'm not going to use this 2 yet, because I've got to multiply everything by this 5. So we've got 5 times 3 is 15. And 15 plus 4, we always add that carried number. 15 plus 4 is 19. Now 19 is a two-digit number, so I'm going to put that 9 and 19 here. The 1 and 19 would normally be carried, but there's no other digit to carry it to, so I'll just put it right next to it here. So now I'm done multiplying everything by 5. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up everything for my multiplication by 2. So I'm going to make sure that I put a 0 here. So since we're multiplying by 2, we're going to have to start putting our answers under the 2, which means we have to put a placeholder here. There shouldn't be any values here. I've seen some teachers put a 0 here, but I like just to put an X here. And the reason why is because if we have a number that has a lot of zeros, it can get confusing as to whether or not that 0 is a placeholder or part of our math. So I like to put an X here. This is going to make sure that we start putting our values underneath the 2, right here. I'm also going to cross off anything I carried previously, because I don't want to confuse it with anything I might have to carry now. So now I've got 2 times 8, which is 16. I'll bring down the 6. I'll carry the 1. And then I've got 2 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus the 1 I carried is 7. So I'll put a 7 here. And so I finished multiplying everything by 2. This first row represents everything I multiplied by 5. This second row here represents everything I multiplied by 2. And I've got nothing else to multiply by, so I'm done. Now I can get to the final part of the problem, which is to go to step 3 and add these values up starting from the right. So I'm going to put a plus sign here, and then I'll put a line under everything, and then I'll start adding from the right. 0 plus nothing is 0. 9 plus 6 is 15. But that's a two-digit number. So I'll bring down the 5, and the 1 in 15 I'll carry to the next place value. I've got 7 plus 1, that is 8. plus the 1 I carried is 9. I've got nothing else to add, therefore I'm done. So our final answer is 950. We could even say the product of 25 and 38 is 950. If you'd like and you feel comfortable with this, I would recommend pausing this video and trying number 2 on your own, using number 1 as a model. So let's go over number 2. 67 times 41. I'll follow all the steps just like I did in the previous example. So what I like to do is I like to start with drawing a line. Next, I'll put my first number right on that line. So our first number is 67, so I'm going to write 67. And keep in mind how I left a lot of space in between, because it's important to make sure we know that we have to put everything in the correct place value. It would be really silly to not get the answer right just because we're not being neat with our work, so don't do that. Now I'll write 41. I'll put a 1 on top of the 7 and a 4 on top of the 6. That's all set up, so now I'll just put my multiplication symbol. Then we can go to step 2, which is to multiply each digit in the bottom number by each digit on the top, starting from the right. So we've got two numbers here. Our top number is 41 and our bottom number is 67. The number on the right in the bottom number is 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 7 and multiply each number on top by 7. So let's do that now. So we've got 7 times 1, and that's 7. Next, we've got 7 times 4, and that's 28. So 28 is a 2-digit number, which means I'll bring my 8 here. And normally I would carry the 2 over here, but there's no digit for it to get carried to. So what I'll do is I'll put the 2 right next to it, again leaving space because I want to be neat with my work. So we've already multiplied 7 times 1 and 7 times 4, so we're done multiplying by 7. Next, we're going to have to multiply everything on the top by 6. But remember, we have to make sure that our math starts under the 6. So our answers should start here, which means I don't want to put anything here. And that means that I should put a placeholder. You could put a 0, but I recommend putting an X, so we don't confuse zeros with X's if the numbers we're using have a lot of zeros in them. So now I've got 6 times 1, which is 6. And I've got 6 times 4, which is 24. 24 is a 2-digit number, so I would normally bring down the 4 and then carry the 2 to the next place value, but there's nothing here. So I'll just bring that to the front of the number. I've already multiplied everything on the top by 6, therefore I'm done with that part. So now what we have to do is put a plus sign, underline everything, and then go to step 3, which is to add all the values starting from the right column. So here we've got 7 plus nothing, which is 7. Here we've got 8 plus 6, which is 14. 14 is 2 digits. So I'll take the 4 from 14 and bring it down, and the 1 in 14 and carry it to the next place value. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus the 1 I carried is 7. And then we've just got 2 plus nothing, which is 2. Therefore, we're done. And our final answer is 2,747. But we could also say the product of 67 and 41 is 2,747. Thanks for watching our video on the math review. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We might use your question in our next video. And if you found this lesson helpful, please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. And it would really help if you share this and our other videos to any of your social media platforms. See you next time on the Math Review.